Hello, PTA, family, friends, caregivers, and everyone else. It is another exciting Wednesday night, and I'm so excited to be in front of all of you coming into your homes again for another uh, Wednesday with Frank. So I know it doesn't sound so cool, but hey, it has my name in it, so it is kind of cool. Anyway, we have a really special guest tonight. I'll introduce her in just a few minutes, and she has a really good presentation to give to you guys. We hope we will follow along with the presentation. The best part about that, though, is we'll be able to post that presentation later. I will encourage you even now to start putting some questions in the chat if you have, because tonight we are going to be talking about mental health and mental health awareness. Obviously, it's been a hot button topic for about a year and a half. We've had the schools have entertained this group, our Hillsborough County Public Schools, coming in with mental health, talking about it. Last year we had a little tour, and now we're going to have exactly those people who did that tour are going to be coming to us tonight, and that would be Elizabeth Tanner. That'll be in a few minutes. You will have to listen to some announcements first before we get to the cool stuff. So first things first, reflections. We're going to keep promoting this because it's an amazing program. As you guys know, Lisa Marie Lehigh is our Hillsborough County Council board for reflections. She will be on April. Oh, I'm sorry, April. Boy, I'm like really behind here. Try August 5th. She will be on to talk about reflections. So if you have anybody in the family, if your school is involved in reflections, please make sure to join that day. Lisa Marie will be on there explaining not only how the program works, what you need to do, deadlines, and just a lot of encouragement. As you see, this year it's I Matter because. So it's going to be a way for our students to really talk about themselves and be able to open up, and that'll be a great opportunity for our students to show their talent as far as Hillsborough County students. We continue to win awards, and I say we, I mean them, because I have no artistic ability at all, and we want to continue that tradition, and we're really excited for that to keep going. General meetings. Now, it was voted on that we are going to be able to have general meetings virtually again. Now, there's a couple little caveats to that, and I'll explain it to you. So what I need you to do is, if you have not had your general meeting yet, because unfortunately, I know COVID has thrown a lot of wrenches into a lot of our plans. If you have not had your general meeting, you still have to have your elections. You see the little scrolling thing that says president at HCCPTA, PTSA.org. I want you to take that. I want you to email me and let me know. We will get that to you, get you the information, let you know what you need to do. We are able to do these virtually again, so we hope that all of you will take advantage of that and get your elections done so we can start off this next coming year with your officers ready to rock and roll. School of Excellence. Again, another wonderful program. Again, this program not only is for your school, but it's a way to stay in touch and work with your local communities, and for your school and your communities to work together to create a better program for your students, your teachers, safer schools, everything that goes along with the School of Excellence. One bit of information, if this is something that is interesting to you, two things. One, it is a one-year commitment, but it's a great opportunity to go in it for the long run, to not just do it for a couple times, but to really make a big change in your school and transform your school into something that you are proud of, both with the students, the teachers, and especially with this year where we're going to need any type of program to really motivate and support our students and encourage our students. I encourage you to look at School of Excellence. This, if you are interested in this and you are going to, and when I say go, sit in front of your computer in your pajamas to leadership conference this weekend, 12:30 on Saturday. Bert Miller will be teaching on the School of Excellence. He will have all this information. He'll be able to answer your questions. That's a great opportunity for you to find out more about this program. Next off, Member Hub. Member Hub was last week. We're continuing it because it's going to be something we're really going to push on our local units to use. It's going to, more importantly, because it's more hands-off and everything's kind of going away from putting our hands on things just because of the virus. Member Hub is going to be a great tool and a great resource for us this year. You learned a lot of information from Valerie, but there'll still be more information. Again, Member Hub will be taught by Jessica Summers, who is our RNC Regions and Council person. She's also a Member Hub guru as well. And she'll be teaching that class at Leadership at 10:30 on Sunday morning. So if you would like to learn more about Member Hub, please check into that class at 10:30 on Sunday morning for Florida Leadership. These are two great opportunities for you to learn about two good programs that will make your school and transform your school to a more efficient and a much stronger school, both in your community and in your PTA. Now, a couple other things, very important. As I mentioned, Florida Leadership. Listen and listen very clearly. Check your emails. If you haven't already checked them, check them immediately. Don't leave me, because I don't want you to leave me, but I want you to check your emails. Make sure you have your information from Florida PTA on the Florida Leadership if you did sign up for that. That then will give you a link to go to the App Center, and that, once you check in there, you will go to a landing page. It'll give you all the information, including the presenters of the workshops and the workshops, the times of the workshops, the dates of the workshops, the general meetings that also include resolutions. And this year we have elections. So this is going to be a full slate and schedule of events for Florida Leadership. The best part is you get to sit in your pajamas and sip your wine or your water or whatever you want to drink, but you'll be able to do it from the comfort of your home and still get all the information that that Florida PTA has to offer this year. Also, after you've done that, you need to make sure you go to schedule. And then when you go to the schedule for Thursday night, you'll see something at 7 p.m. It's called Regions and Caucus. Now, Regions and Caucus is going to be a room. We're actually going to have our own virtual room because Hillsborough County is bringing 136 people to this party, literally and figuratively to this party, because we are going to have a party. And we're going to have our own room, and we're going to go over rules of the voting, how the voting works, what day the voting is going to be done, the resolutions, the information on there. We're going to be celebrating some awards as well on that evening, and going through some other information that you'll get there. And then we're going to go ahead and have a PTA and pajama party, as you see up there. Valerie Licata, who is our VP Leadership, put this together. It's her idea, so if you like it, thank her. And we're just going to have some fun. We're going to celebrate each other. We're going to encourage each other. And so bring your favorite drink, your favorite snack, and put on your favorite pajamas, and we'll have a good time. We have the room from 7 to 9 p.m. Again, this is all virtual, so you can kind of come and go, but you do have to register in advance to be there. And you must be from Hillsborough County in order to be in the Hillsborough County virtual room for Regions and Caucus. So make sure you sign up for that. You'll get the link, and you can click onto the link for that. We hope to see you there. It'll be a lot of fun. Last thing, upcoming events. Next week, we will be celebrating our outgoing president, Linda Kirshner, who this is her final few days before she becomes past president. So she'll have a chance to say thank you to all of you, and we'll have a chance to just talk to her for a few minutes and find out what some of her best parts of the last 2 years have been, and what she holds ahead for her as a past president. Finally, the next week, we'll have Teachers Forum. We're going to have 3 teachers on there. Now, everybody knows, and if you don't know, schools will be voted on, so it's not official. Chances are schools will be pushed back 2 weeks, but we're still going to have a teachers forum, and this is going to allow the teachers to talk to you, the parents and caregivers, about how to prepare your students for going back to school if they do go back to brick and mortar school, including how to wear the masks and other things that they may encounter that might be the new normal for schools. And this will be a great opportunity for you guys to thank your teachers and thank these teachers and get some good feedback from one of our most precious resources, which are our teachers. And then finally, the 5th of August, we will have Lisa Marie, as I mentioned earlier, for reflections. So with all that out of the way, my special guest, she works, her name is Elizabeth Tanner. She is a supervisor for emotional wellness for student services for Hillsborough County Public Schools. You may have met her at some of the tours that were done last year at some of the schools. Her job is talking about mental health and mental health awareness. She is also a school psychologist. She has worked at Town and Country. She's worked at Crestwood and Sergeant Smith. And I think I've given enough of that. I want to make sure to give her a lot of time. And she's going to have a short presentation. And then please, if you have questions, put them in the chat, save them, and she will be more than happy to answer them. And with that, I'm going to go ahead, and Amy Marie is going to make me disappear.
Hi there. Um, I am not able to hear you, Mr. Reyes, but I am assuming that you can hear me. Can someone let me know, hopefully, that you can hear me? Let's see.
We
Oh,
can we can hear you
oh,
just fine.
thank you. Thank you so much. Um, so thank you all for having me on today. I appreciate it. Very honored to be here to speak to parents in the community about understanding mental health and how mental health can really impact our students, our children, um, especially during these trying times. And hopefully, I would like to give you guys some resources today on how we can kind of circumvent mental health issues and how we as a school district can support you and your child during this time. So, thank you guys for having me. Okay, so we're just going to jump right in. I am going to talk about some of these objectives, but not go into great detail just because of purposes of time. And I want to make sure we have some time to talk about some of these issues of mental health and also talk about interventions that are available within the community. This full presentation that's a bit longer is available on the PTA website that Mr. Reyes has. So, and it has a great voiceover that you can hear and take notes on for further information. But we will be talking about typical type of behavior with students and adolescents versus atypical social and emotional development. Some warning signs of mental health concerns that you can look out for as a parent. Um, what is trauma and how does that traumatic event impact mental health? And then we're going to discuss some strategies and interventions to assist students and your child. And we will wrap up with questions and comments. So I just wanted to kind of go over a little bit what is typical emotional development with children and students. Um, I'm not going to read every one of these types of emotional development milestones, but you can see as you go from an infant to a toddler to years 3 through 4 and 5 that we start to talk about making social contact, responding to emotions, playing with one another, making friends, becoming more independent. And those type of emotional development milestones involve some trials and tribulations. It does involve temper tantrums and adjustment, but you will see these changes as your child is growing and developing, that they're coping with all of the new developments that happen through life. If we go to the next slide, in grades um, of elementary, middle, and high, these type of social behaviors develop even more with perhaps more social interactions. You will have more times where a student may complain or be more secretive or express feelings. Maybe sometimes your child might be withdrawn or have their own ideas that don't coincide with yours. All of these type of emotional development stages are normal. And when a child becomes a high schooler, and they strive to be more independent, they will, notice and deal with their own difficulties with things that don't go their way, with friendships that don't pan out, with disappointment and successes. They'll start to, you know, think about their own beliefs and develop their own independence. And with all of those different type of stages, as we're going through these new developments, there is a transition. There's times where students may feel a little lost or feel a little anxious or perhaps angry. But that is typical and that's part of growing up. And we're going to start to transition to where you start to feel that atypical symptoms might come in. And you might say, as a parent, what is the difference between these normal, typical developmental milestones versus things that are atypical? And the biggest thing I tell parents is, when your child lacks the ability to live, to laugh, to love, to make those social interactions, then you might see that something is wrong. For children 11 and under, atypical development is maybe complaining constantly of medical issues, headaches, stomach aches, increased fear of situations, not being able to sleep, can't sit still. In older children, again, we see those changing in sleeping patterns. They have low and high energy, and all of these type of symptoms or development that's atypical interferes with their ability to function as a young adult or a young child. If we go to the next slide, it's so important that we look at the statistics. So why are we talking about mental health? Why do we have to dive into these really difficult kind of conversations where you as a parent are saying, I have to kind of look on what's atypical versus what is normal development? And it's because mental health problems affect about 1 in 10 children and young people. And these facts come from the CDC, from SAMHSA, from the WHO, where they notice that problems that they are undiscovered or where interventions are not put in place, students and children then later on develop onset mental health disorders that can affect their lives at the moment and affect their adulthood. 11% of children under 5 can suffer from anxiety. ADHD is one of the most common childhood disorders, and that lacking that attention. Depression is one of the leading causes of illness and disability among adolescents. Death by suicide, and this is a very tragic statistic, is the second leading cause of death among persons ages 15 to 34. And it used to be the third leading cause of death, but it has moved up to the second leading cause of death now among young persons. Our LGBTQ youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than straight youth. And 1 in 4 high school students use cigarettes or e-cigarettes in the last 30 days. 1 in 5 high school seniors misuse prescription drugs. And this last statistics really talks about how students cope with these type of feelings, with these type of concerns that they're having um, maladaptively by resorting to using cigarettes, alcohol, drugs to cope with their feelings. And I like to show that slide because it's important that we know that these conversations that you have with teachers, with the community, with students are very important, and with your child are very important to have. So, what are these mental health disorders? And we're just listing here a few, but I, mentioned it one of the stats before: attention deficit disorder, attention hyperactive disorder, anxiety, bipolar depression, eating disorders, psychosis, and substance abuse. These are just a few that of the disorders that impact our youth. When we talk about anxiety, we could have a student that has been exposed to an event and they have a post-traumatic stress disorder event. And that's a form of anxiety, is reliving these events that have been traumatizing in their life. Um, Perhaps, a student that is very depressed will then develop an eating disorder because they are so upset and have these feelings that they lose an appetite or they eat too much. And then, like we talked about earlier with substance use, many of these type of disorders that our youth are dealing with result in them utilizing or using substances inappropriately and drinking alcohol and using inappropriate drugs that are not prescribed appropriately to cope with those type of symptoms. So, and I would like to mention this again for our signs and symptoms of children who may be at risk. Um, when these signs and symptoms interfere or hinder a child's ability to progress and to function, um, these are some of the ones that I kind of want to mention for you to look at. So, what 8-year-old or 5-year-old or even 10-year-old doesn't throw a tantrum. You're saying, frequent tantrums. My child always has tantrums, and that's normal. Students get upset, they get frustrated. But what happens when you have these tantrums and they are consistent, or they can't get over them, or that it impacts them from living their social life? That's where you start to say, something is more than just being upset for a little bit. If they are overly fearful or worried about something for a consistent period of time where it's affecting them going somewhere or doing something and it's been over weeks, that's a signal that something is going on. Somatic complaints mean they complain of headaches or stomach aches and there's no medical reason for it. They just have these type of pains. And then again, what type of child doesn't sit still and is in constant motion? Our children are always like that. But if your child's so much in constant motion and can't sit that they cannot complete their work, or they cannot um, watch a movie or understand or comprehend what they're reading, then we start to think, okay, there might be more going on. And that's the same thing with sleeping patterns and interest with playing with others. If we go to the next slide with adolescents, we see that our older children often lose interest in things that they used to enjoy. And the big thing with that is that they don't replace it with another thing that interests them. So if a child's like, I'm not interested in doing this anymore, I don't want to do anything, and I don't feel like doing anything ever, and that's consistent for a long period of time, then there might be some social issues going on. They like to spend more time alone, perhaps, or engaging in self-harm behaviors like cutting or burning. Again, if they're starting to use alcohol or drugs or have thoughts of suicide, if they're gaining weight or losing too much weight, all of these types of signs and symptoms that are consistent and interfere with their life may be a signal to you as a parent to say, I might need to get some help. So trauma is another thing that we really have to talk about in this time period in our lives, because dealing with our pandemic with COVID-19, many of our children, our students, our adolescents, our youth are really struggling with perhaps this life situation that they're in right now. Trauma is a response to a distressing and disturbing event, and it overwhelms someone's ability to cope, and it can cause that helplessness. And, some of our students have suffered a death in the family due to COVID-19, or perhaps they've discovered that their family member has lost a job because of the situations. Perhaps they are afraid to go out, and being exposed to the virus. All of these type of things are a form of trauma. If we go to the next slide, we have some more examples of traumatic events. So yes, COVID-19 is traumatic, but there are other things that in a student's life that may cause them to feel some type of distress. And that can be an illness, it can be an act of violence. We have also been, watching on the news a lot of racial bias and, a lot of rioting, a lot of violence on TV, a lot of contradiction going on. And that kind of feeling and witnessing those type of things can have an effect on students and youth. Car accidents, natural disasters like hurricanes, all of these type of things are types of traumatic events. So how we can help with our child is staying available and responsive. The big thing is to talk to your child about this. Pay attention to these behaviors they might be having. Acknowledge those feelings. If a student's like, I'm really feeling nervous, I'm scared, I'm upset, I don't want to do this. Our first reaction may be like, don't feel that way. It's okay, and it's going to be better. But sometimes it's okay to say, you know what? It's okay to have those feelings. I feel that way too. You're not alone on this. A lot of people feel that way. And then talking about some of those feelings and how we can help each other get through them is a great way to respond. As a parent, it's really important that you try to take care of yourself first. We can have our own feelings of anxiety, and sometimes it's okay to just privately think about those feelings, take a deep breath, compose yourself, and then have conversations with your child about some of these situations and how they might be feeling. And we're going to go through how you can ask for help, because we're not all professionals, and we do have to ask for help, especially when we're talking about racial trauma, and traumatic events, that can occur as a result of witnessing or experiencing racism or discrimination or type of prejudice. And a lot of our youth go through that, unfortunately, in our society, where they are victims of racism or discrimination. And it can result in a student feeling really lonely, feeling very worried, not feeling like they're able to trust others, and not having a trusted adult. And those type of conversations are really difficult to have. They're difficult to have with our youth. They're difficult to have with adults. But it is important to recognize the situation and the community that sometimes that we're living in, and to change perspectives, and to talk about things in a healthy way, so that this racial trauma doesn't have an impact on students that could result in a mental health disorder. So I'm trying to move as quickly as I can, but the big part that I wanted to make sure that you knew, as a district in Hillsborough County Public Schools, we do have a mental health plan. There are many legislative bills, a couple of them being Senate Bill 7020, Senate Bill 7030, that talk about providing districts with resources that focus on mental health. And there are 3 points to that: of mental health awareness, prevention, and intervention. If we go to the next slide, some of our preventative measures and our district objectives is to increase awareness of mental health. And it's just like these calls right now on Facebook Live, is to say, what is mental health? What are some of those signs and symptoms? What is atypical versus typical behavior in my child? And in schools, we provide training to teachers on youth mental health first aid, which is teaching students or teachers all about what is mental health, what are these difficult disorders. We provide Act Now presentations to students and teachers as well, that talk about suicide and suicide prevention and what to do if you are feeling suicidal. We have other partners, such as Sandy Hook Promise and Cognito, that offer a lot of student-led training, where students are promoting violence prevention strategies, and also training on how to prevent violence on campus. So we are very fortunate to have a lot of partners in our district, but our main objective with awareness is to provide that education to teachers, families, and students on mental health. Another really great resource that is in every school is our mental health services. So every school has a student services team, and they're comprised of school counselors, school psychologists, school social workers, and nurses. We all work together to problem solve student intervention. And parents often ask me, how can I get help for my student? What do I do? And the school is your resource. All you need to do is call your school, email your teacher, email the counselor, psychologist, or social worker, or just walk into the building and say, hey, my student needs help. My child needs mental health services. And they are there to help you. That's one of their main responsibilities, is to look at the whole child and see how we can assist with any mental health needs. And from that, the student services personnel, the psychologist, social worker, counselor, and nurse, they would work together as a team to triage and think about interventions that are either available at school that they can do, like counseling at school, or maybe referring to the community, which is our next slide. We have community partners that we have contracted with that will provide services to students, more intensive therapy type services. Some of them, I'm going to name a couple of them here: Grace Point, Northside, Success for Kids and Families, the Crisis Center in Tampa Bay. All of these community agencies are there to assist you and your child with evaluation, with therapy, with counseling, with any type of services that you need to that will support mental health. And our district has contracts to help break down barriers. So if you have issues with funding or you have issues with transportation, your student services team on campus at school can help you problem solve through those. Okay, so at home, what can you do as a parent? Some tips. Again, listen to your child. Think about some of these behaviors and symptoms that we talked about. Think about any changes that you've had in your environmental life and in your family, and pay attention to social relationships. It's all about your observations and your communication that will help you say, you know what, we need to talk with somebody, or I need help, or I'm concerned. So that's just a big thing, is to listen and pay attention, and then seek out help when you need it. So again, your school building is here to help. Currently, our student services team members are on summer break, but we are coming back very soon, at the end of July, and we're here to take those calls. Your school is. If you're not unsure, you could say, my child has had trouble this summer. My child has trouble through e-learning. I need additional help. Um, just like you would go to a doctor if your child had a fever or a broken bone or something that you couldn't handle as a parent. We're not all professionals. Sometimes we have to seek that professional medical guidance to help us through these problems. That's what we would like to connect you with. Ask for these mental health resources because they're out there in the community, and we can help you with that process. So in the community, there are a lot of hotlines and kind of resources, and we've named some of them here. If you're ever having a crisis in the moment where you need assistance, mental health assistance right away, 211 is the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay. And they're available for you just like 911. So you can call 211. There are other hotlines available for our LGBTQ youth, domestic violence, a suicide prevention hotline. All of these are available usually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we ask you to really embrace some of those. And if you are an employee for the district, we also have resources for our employees as well. Okay, so I think the next slide is just any questions or comments that we had, and I'm here as a resource I will be more than happy to answer any of them.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much. Yeah, we'll see if anybody posts any questions. It's a lot of great information. I think it's something that we probably need to go back and look at it a couple more times because there was a lot of things that really stood out to me. I think you really hit me when you said 11%
Mr.
of
Reyes,
kids
if you're
under.
talking, I apologize. I can't hear you.
Okay, well, I'll just keep talking. How's that? Um, and we'll hopefully Amy Marie will fix that. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. And Elizabeth, you just stay right there. I'm giving you the hold sign there.
Okay. So I think one of the questions is, will every school have a school psychologist? So we do have school psychologists assigned to every school. There are some vacancies right now, and we don't have school psychologists that are there every day of the week. Some of them are itinerant. So some psychologists are there all week, and at some schools, they're not there every day, but there is an assignment there.
Looks like you have another one.
All of our, the question was, does Hillsborough County Public Schools virtual school have a student services team. And yes, they do have student services team assigned to Hillsborough County Virtual. And also through e-learning, if you are thinking that you're going to utilize e-learning at home, your student services team members are still available through Ed Connect or through email or through telephone calls to assist or even provide intervention to your child.
Very good. Can you hear me now, Elizabeth? No? Okay. All right, so we're having technical difficulties, but that's okay because we're almost done. So you stay right there. Don't move. Don't move, Elizabeth. Couple last things I want to say. First of all, thank you so much for the work, for the information. We're going to post this information online for all of you, where there's a longer version to listen and watch as well. Please share this out to neighbors, friends, your
Any more
PTAs, your
questions, Amy
schools.
Marie?
And okay, yeah, I can hear you, Elizabeth. So please share this information out and let your neighbors, your friends, your PTAs, your schools know about this information. We all have obviously difficulties in life, and sometimes
So
stress can just come
I
on.
guess we can, I'll just kind of wrap up here. If you do have any questions or concerns, or we do have a mental health hotline that is available Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I'll give you that number. It's 813-272-4787. If you have any questions in regarding to mental health or resources, that will be available probably until school starts. And if not, you can always, once school is back in session, even before, during our pre-planning time, you can reach out to the school and ask to speak with the student services representative.
Hi, everyone. Frank, no one can hear you, but you're talking. Can you hear me, Elizabeth?
Yes, I can hear you. I just can't hear
Awesome.
Frank. I'm so sorry.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on today. My name is Amy Marie, and I'm the person behind the screen. Frank cannot be heard, so we just kicked him off. Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this information. We will definitely be adding it to our website, and we will take this whole informative Facebook Live, and we'll have it on our YouTube channel as well. So there'll be multiple places to view it. But thank you so much for coming and sharing, and we truly appreciate your time and all that you give to our students. So I know that I'm probably saying what Frank would have said.
No worries. Hey, we're living in a virtual world here and doing the best we can.
That's what I said earlier. I was like, this is real life, everyone. If the dog comes running through, the kids are loud or whatever. I think we're all kind of just doing the very best that we can, just like our students are trying to do the very best that they can. And everybody at the district, our parents, our teachers, and everybody's just trying to make it up as we go. So thank you. Thank you again. So
There's one comment I think that Frank said to mention pre-register for workshops.
Oh,
very important.
Pre-register for workshops, everybody. If you're registered for Florida PTA convention, make sure you get on register for your workshops, register for Region and Caucus, and make sure if you're having issues just to reach out to the state or reach out to us at president at HCCPTA.PTSA.org, and we will we'll try to get you the help that you need. If you can't get it from, you can't figure it out, we'll help you figure it out. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to sign us off 40 minutes in. That was awesome.